Sarah, we've been a little diverted to another continent just in the last 24 hours or so, but I mean, this is a very real and immediate threat to Canada as well.
Yes, if we look, for instance, at these auto tariffs, I mean, this is not supposed to be a political investigation. The Commerce Department is supposed to look at, for instance, in the case of autos, whether the imports, are a national security risk. They're supposed to look at the facts and come with a recommendation to President Donald Trump about, what he should do next if they are. And it almost seems like Trump's prejudging the outcome on this, and he's using them as, sort of dangling them over the U.S. and saying, Canada, and saying, if you don't bow to us, if you don't respect me, this is gonna hit you. Canada's the second largest supplier of vehicles to the U.S. But I think what's important to remember is that Mexico is the top. We have Japan, we have South Korea, Germany, all allies. And I think this just really ups the stakes from the G7 meeting in terms of sort of Trump seeming to really be at odds with his allies. And at the same time, we see him now coming out with an agreement with the North Korean leader. And it really seems like a bit like the world has turned upside down right now in terms of U.S. relations.
Yes, now what is Justin Trudeau supposed to do? I mean, he obviously feels insulted by the president. He told everybody how the president had insulted him. And now he's supposed to be conciliatory and perhaps even ask for something. What kind of a position is he in?
So Canada, I guess an example of this is Canada has, in the NAFTA talks, really tried to reach out to lobby groups in the U.S., to lawmakers, and put pressure on the Trump administration that way. The Trump administration is totally aware of this, and they have actually criticized Canada for trying to sort of go this roundabout way to get their message across. Canada's a friend and ally, please don't put tariffs on us, and try and sort of shake up the business community and the political community in the U.S. to kind of work against the Trump administration on their behalf. On Wednesday, Canada's Foreign Minister, Chrystia Freeland's actually going to be in Washington. This will be the first high-level visit of a Canadian official to the U.S. since the weekend when, Trump sort of attacked Trudeau. And she's actually going to meet with lawmakers. We expect her to talk about NAFTA. We expect her to also discuss Senator Bob Corker's bill to try and curtail Trump's powers, the president's powers to impose tariffs on national security grounds. This is what he used to put the steel and aluminum tariffs on that have already hit Canada, and this is what Trump's trying to use to put on the auto tariffs. So I think we're going to see a hardening of Canada's position to try and convince lobby groups, politicians in the States to tell their own president that they're not happy with him.
Sarah, from politics to business, I mean, if we did see a tariff on autos, it would affect a quarter of the entire U.S. auto market. What does this mean for consumer prices, and what does it mean for the foreign suppliers of cars? I mean, are we hearing an outcry from business at the moment?
The auto sector seems to be the poster child for globalization and this integrated supply chains. People often say that parts of a car pass the border many times before they're actually put into a car and then shipped to the country where they're bought. And so I think, as soon as this auto investigation was announced, it was a bit of a bombshell. The Auto Alliance, big automakers came out and said, we're confident that car imports don't threaten U.S. national security. So I think it was largely seen as a political tool that the Trump administration was using. We have the congressional midterms coming up. And this auto investigation can stretch into next year under the law and the days allotted under that for the investigation. Of course, we have congressional midterms coming up in November, so this may play well to energize Trump's support base, auto workers and people he promised to help. So I think, all of that being said, there's still a lot of scope for the Trump administration to not even put these tariffs into place. Certainly, U.S. automakers haven't come out and said that this is a good idea either. And I do believe that they think that it will raise their costs because it's going to put tariffs on, at some point during the process, on parts or assembly that they're putting together for these cars.